All right, folks. Marco Palmera, founder of Ulysses. Let's make sure the camera is set up properly. I want to talk about why you should generate qualified prospects when you want to buy a business, when you want to make multiple acquisitions, or when you want to sign up more sales side clients. And I want to talk about that because I see a lot of folks that don't do that. Then they wonder why they're not able to get as many deals as they'd like across the goal line, or why they cannot close the acquisition that they were hoping to close within the expected time frame. And I think the issue that they're facing is, uh, it is very simple to address, and yet people try to make it a lot more complicated than it really is. So let me try to break it down quickly so there's clarity on it. And we have sourced deals across the globe, $1 to $50 million in size, tons of companies that we supported, investment bankers, private equity groups, search funds, you name it, in originating motivated sellers, so people that want to exit their business, and then getting them to our clients so that they could close these deals. So I'm going to be sharing something that we are basically involved in every single day. And we want to talk about prospect generation, not necessarily deal origination. And what are the differences? Well, the deal origination part implies that we're finding people that are interested in selling their company today. Now, that might be okay, but it is going to just target a restricted portion of the marketplace. And we don't necessarily want to do that. Why is that? Well, because there might not be enough businesses that are going to help us achieve our goals in that restricted portion of the marketplace. The opportunities that are there might not be the ones that are suitable to our needs. And so we need to broaden our horizons and ultimately create continuity into our process. And the only way we can achieve that is to prospect generation, which basically means we are softening up our message so that we can connect with more people that might be in the exploratory phase when it comes to selling their business. And believe it or not, there are going to be a lot of them, right? Especially if you're targeting a decent enough market in terms of size. There are going to be a lot of folks that might be thinking about selling, 4 months in the future, 8 months in the future, 12 months in the future, 18 months in the future, you name it. So as we initiate the generation of these prospects, then we have a predictable way to connect with them. We can keep the communication active and nurture that relationship until we get to a point where the person is ready to pull the trigger on a transaction, and it then acts and goes forward, kind of like moves forward with us instead of somebody else. And so prospect generation is fundamentally creating continuity into any system. And most people don't do that, especially acquirers, I think, because they heavily rely on broker sites. So they feel they can just go there and find the opportunities they need. But those are generally very competitive. Those are generally not the best opportunities that you can find. And so as they progressively realize they need to do more and they need to build their own pipeline, they start to approach pipeline creation in the same way they approach browsing through a broker site. So they're very pushy. They try to find deals that are interested right now because they want to close the deal quickly. And that is true even for big firms. I mean, had relationships with private equity groups that reached out to us because they wanted to find deals within 30 days because they needed to show returns to their investors. I mean, yeah, you can do that, but again, you're just going to get a tiny portion of your marketplace, and that might not be enough to accomplish your goals. So you want to build a pipeline of prospects that matures over time and kind of fundamentally is connected with you for multiple months, and you're allowed to communicate with them for multiple months. So we want to be able to kind of like have different buckets we put people in, motivated sellers in, so that we can constantly interact with them as their readiness matures. So it's very, very basic as a concept, but very few people do that. So they just focus on the deals that are active now. As these deals fall apart, they start the process all over again, and they keep repeating this cycle, and they wonder why they have like kind of a roller coaster in terms of results. And that is because they just focus on people that are interested now instead of creating longevity and continuity into their system so that they can constantly get opportunities through the door. So it is relatively easy to set this thing up. It's just thinking about the process of finding deals in a more structured way. And it's fundamentally building up a pipeline that you control and that you manage and that enables you to nurture relationships over time instead of just focusing on the hot prospects that are ready to pull the trigger right now. We build these systems, or we run them for people. So we basically enable them to get the results that they need through these systems. But these results are generally accomplished through compounding, through a compounding effect. So we can reach out the market that you're targeting and find the deals that you want that are interested right now. But at the same time, we need to build and kind of like create that infrastructure in the back end that is going to yield these results month after month. Otherwise, you're just going to see, a mismatch between results that come in right away, and then after a few months, you don't see anything, and things are going to be very scattered and disorganized. So if you're planning to acquire multiple businesses or just buy one business, prospect generation is the most important part for you to integrate into your system, because finding motivated sellers right away, everybody understands, right? You reach out to a target market, you find people that are interested, and you start negotiating. That's pretty simple. But the process of building a pipeline of people that are maybe laters or ready in 2, 4, 6 months is something that very few people understand, because they're short-sighted and they don't look at this process as kind of like a continuous cycle, as a system that delivers outcomes month after month as you keep stacking, uh, deals and opportunities on top of each other. So again, very simple concept is like generating a pipeline of prospect is something that goes toe to toe with deal generation, because these maybe laters might convert into future transactions for you. And as the readiness matures, you're going to see them be more inclined to sell to you compared to somebody else, because you took the time to build that relationship and keeping them in the loop in case they had any questions as they were kind of like thinking about this life decision and making that shift. So hope that helps, and we'll talk soon.